being able to send a sister, on the other side of the world, encouragement that, hey, what you're doing is amazing. And then to hear back from her that, hey, what you said makes me believe in myself more, that I'm going to keep going and I'm going to expand on what I'm doing. And then over the years, as I've gotten deeper and deeper into encouraging, every time something simple that I write comes back from a message of somebody who's doing really hard work, that she feels empowered and she feels seen and heard and believed. That system, for me, that's the backbone of World Pulse. That's the heart of World Pulse. That's where we really get to connect and get to know each other and support with each other. It's an incredible system. I recommend it for everyone.
Hello, Radiant people. Welcome to Radiant Fields. Happy International Women's Day. If this is our first time to meet, my name is Karen. I'm the Encourager Advisor of World Pulse. I am also one of the World Pulse ambassadors, and I am in a mission of normalizing encouragement. In this interview series, Certified Encouragers Online, I will feature remarkable women in their chosen fields. All 5 of them are World Pulse ambassadors. They also belong to the top 10 most active encouragers in 2020. They come from different country, continent, cultural background, and color, but all of them are united in one purpose: to help women feel seen and heard through the power of encouragement. Find a place to relax, grab your favorite beverage, and be inspired by the journey of these remarkable women. Our esteemed guest today has been part of developing the women's movement since the late 1960s. Her focus has been on creating safe space for women and girls to meet, heal from violence, and build this movement together. She considers discovering and becoming active in World Pulse as a dream come true. Her purpose in life is to work for freedom for all women and girls and human existence in peace with each other and our earth. She feels connected with the environment and respects the wisdom of indigenous tribes. She's a gifted writer. She won as a World Pulse Featured Storyteller. One of her stories got published in UN Women's online book, Thank You, United Nations. She's a poet, a dancer, an artist, a friend, a sister, an encourager. World Pulse ambassadors fondly call her Mama Tam as our sign of honor and respect for her. Her leadership was acknowledged by the World Pulse community, staff, and board, where she was awarded Grand Champion of the World Pulse Spirit Awards Ambassador category. She is one of World Pulse 21 women to watch in 2021, and to quote the article in Medium, these women are those who are connected through the World Pulse online community to power change on the ground. Radiant people, join me in welcoming Tamarack Verrall, or Mama Tam, all the way from Canada.
How are you today?
I'm fine. I'm excited to be here with you.
Oh, thank you. I'm so honored that you accepted my invitation. Welcome everyone to Radiant Fields. Today we are with our World Pulse ambassador. We call her Mama Tam, Tamarack Verrall. It's our endearment to her because she's just a darling older sister, but she's also a mother to us. So, Mama Tam, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm so happy to be here. I live in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Although I've lived in other parts of Canada, and I've had the chance to travel too to different countries. I've been active in the women's movement since the late 1960s, and so to be able to be here with you, Karen, and with everybody who's tuning in, it's an amazing thing to me, because we didn't have this available to us. So we had to kind of telephone each other or travel to meet each other back then. But from those little tiny groups that we formed now, for me to see that we're able to be in touch globally on these critical issues related to women. It's just incredible to me.
Yeah, it's incredible to me that someone in your age is so well versed with technology. You're so good with Zoom meetings.
Well, I'm inspired to work at it, and I still have to work at it. I'm not an expert, so it's all a learning curve. But it's just incredible to me that we can meet. We can meet and discuss and know what each other are doing and be in contact with each other. So that inspires me to say, oh, if this is available, I want to be part of it.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, before anything else, tell us something interesting about yourself that most people don't know.
Well, I think you probably picked up, Karen, that I love to dance. And in the 1970s, we'd get together as women and we'd put on these shows. And I watched movies, Hollywood movies, and I taught myself tap dance. And I just love to just dance is so powerful. But in the last 8 years, I met a woman. A lot of us camped together in the woods to put our heads together as women, and she was there teaching African dance, and that's my favorite dance right now. It's very powerful, and it gives me strength and clarity. So you probably didn't know that I do African dance every morning just to get myself awake.
Every morning. Wow,
I try every morning.
wow, that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that with me, with us here. Okay, so you mentioned that you were in the women's movement. You helped develop the women's movement since 1960s. And I watched an interview that you, as a young girl, you observed that your mother couldn't own a bank account. Fast forward today, we hear women's voices speaking up, being able to witness that progress. How does this make you feel?
I am so amazed. I can only use the word ecstatic. I really am ecstatic that we can be in contact with each other all over the world, and that we're so many of us are working on all of the details that need to be changed in the way women are held back. And yes, my mother could not open a bank account. And she also had 6 very busy, active children, and she wasn't able to take us to the hospital without my father's signature.
Mm.
And sometimes he was traveling for work. So, the pressure she was under. But just, yes, fast forward to today, from those early days when we would kind of telephone each other, we'd set up telephone trees to be in touch with each other, or we'd try to travel to each other's cities. And now we're able to be in contact globally, and then to discover what there are thousands of us working on this.
Yeah.
That's just that. Yeah, ecstasy is the only word. If I really think about it, I'm just so amazed at what we're able to do now, and I want it to go to the next level of women's voices really being heard.
Your mother couldn't bring you to a hospital without your father's permission?
They would not allow her to say, my child cut their finger, we
Oh
need
my
medical attention.
God.
No.
Wow. How does that make you feel as a little girl back then?
Well, I was watching all of this, and I was watching the messages that I was given as a girl compared to my 5 brothers. But I have to say again about my mother that she was in the forefront of saying, no, everybody, this is a collective household. All the boys are going to cook. All the boys are going to clean. We're all doing this together. Nobody goes out on Saturday morning without the house being ready. She really taught me that even though all of my friends, their brothers, did nothing, she created a different environment for me. I'm really in gratitude to her for that.
That's a good
Yeah.
practice at home.
Yeah, and I started to realize that the ways that some of my girlfriends were treated when they started dating boys, like my best friend was shamed for being sexual as a teenager, and he was considered a hero. So all of these things built into, well, what's going on in this world that women are treated so badly, and we're doing most of the work, and we're not getting paid for it.
That's true. It's like it's expected. Nobody is appreciating. We're not getting any credit. But yeah, and we read a lot of stories until now. You even mentioned during our meeting that you have this impatience after this. Can you expound on that about
Oh,
false
I
promises?
am very impatient because along with the ecstasy of how we're gathering and what we're bringing forward together in what needs to change, I'm absolutely disgusted that this is my 53rd year, and I remember clearly that we were saying we want to end violence against women in all its forms back in the late 60s and
Mm.
definitely into the 70s and very strongly in the 80s. And even my government, which has this good reputation, only 5% of women even try to go through the court system. Only 5% because they know they're going to be shamed in the court. And that's after 50 years. So that's something that I carry because we have put a lot of work into this and been given false promises over the years and nothing coming through. So, and now with COVID and all of us from all over the world are saying it's getting worse for women. Where is the funding? Why in my own country is the funding for shelters gone down during COVID when more women are trying to flee?
It's true.
So it makes me furious, but I've learned how to turn fury into action because I don't want it sitting in me. It's just going to make my voice louder.
Yeah, we see that and how active you are. You mentioned that was the World Pulse Encourager program that made you join this online community. How did the idea of encouragement appeal to you when you found out about World Pulse? Can you please share?
I would love to share on that because the encouraging program is everything to me. It took me a while to clue in with World Pulse. Like, I remember when it was a magazine and somebody handed me the magazine, I thought it was amazing. Then it went online and I was just learning how to use a computer. This is the 90s now. And I was amazed that when I saw the ad for World Pulse that it was online and I could actually get online, there was also a little box saying, and become an encourager. Actually, it was called listener in those days, but which I like too. But encouraging, yes, because we not only learn from each other by reading stories, but we can give back by saying what you're doing is amazing. So when I saw that I was being invited to be a member and that if I wanted to be an encourager, I could be both,
Yeah.
I felt as if I was being invited into the global women's movement. And that's exactly what was happening. So that I thought, wow, not only are there all the stories that never make it into the news, but we have this, but also I'm invited to be part of it. So to go from those early days of little groups of women and we'd get a little spot and we could form a women's center and have women come in and heal and talk, encouraging on World Pulse is being invited into the entire system and being able to send a sister, on the other side of the world, encouragement that, hey, what you're doing is amazing. And then to hear back from her that, hey, what you said makes me believe in myself more, that I'm going to keep going and I'm going to expand on what I'm doing. It's so, I just recommend it for everyone. But that feeling when I realized looking at that ad that I was being invited inside. And then over the years, as I've gotten deeper and deeper into encouraging, every time something simple that I write comes back from a message of somebody who's doing really hard work, that she feels empowered and she feels seen and heard and believed. That system, for me, that's the backbone of World Pulse. That's the heart of World Pulse. That's where we really get to connect and get to know each other and support what each other are doing. And then quite often we'll say, hey, I know someone who's doing the same thing. Let's get to go private message each other and build on this. It's an incredible system. I recommend it for everyone Like,
I
yes,
recommend.
get on World Pulse and read the news that you're never going to get, or I don't want to say never. We're pushing to get our news into the public sphere, but that we have this, and that we can also have deep conversations with each other and send each other love and let each other know that what each other are doing is powerful and necessary and it's working. That's encouraging. But again, I felt as if I was being invited in. And
Mm,
I want everyone who's reading, starting to get aware of World Pulse, to just jump right in.
yeah, the invitation is open. More women wants to feel heard.
Yes, yes, and to be able to just send out a simple message and know that that's going to give another woman strength for what she's doing.
It's
But you
interesting.
yourself are going to feel really heard and empowered and loved too, because I certainly did right from the start, and it's just grown and grown and grown.
It's interesting that you say simple message because there isn't simple in how you comment. It's always heartfelt or always touched with your encouragement. It's just so beautiful every time you write comments to us, and it's so valuable for us when we receive comments from you. So, from that encourager program, being a listener, being an encourager, you were last year you won the grand prize of World Pulse Spirit Awards Ambassador category, and then you were top most active encouragers in 2020. You became featured encourager. You're one of the most active ambassadors. You show up every Thriving Thursdays, and you just keep on organizing activities. You're unstoppable. What is it that motivates you? I mean, after 50 years, you're just still so passionate.
Well, that's so kind of you to say all of that. You know, that this is what I find in all of us together. What we're creating is so loving and so powerful, and I just so deeply, deeply appreciate being able to meet everybody and find out what they're doing and say hello. Because my background is those early women's centers. Well, we didn't know what we were doing, but and we tried to reach out by telephone or traveling to each other's cities and saying, yeah, we're doing this, we have a women's center too now. So to be part of a global movement of women determined to raise women's voices and do the work that's necessary to heal.
Mm.
I can't wait to have a few hours to just sit down and get back to encouraging, because I'm going to be reading incredible stories, and I can tell her how great what she's doing is. So yeah, if I had all the time, I would answer every single story, and I would be in touch with every single woman, because what World Pulse has given me is the global movement that we hardly dared to dream of. Like, we couldn't even imagine that we would have this one day.
Yeah, you mentioned that it's like a dream come true for you.
Absolutely. Because in the back of my mind, back in the 70s and 80s, I'd think, what are the women on the other side of the world thinking and doing? Like, what's going on? And I bet that they're doing the same thing, but I had no way of reaching. I mean, I did some traveling in the 60s and 70s, and a chance to travel quite a few times in my life and across my country. But one of the amazing early travels I did was across North Africa. And I was in North Africa for 4 months, and I met 4 women in 4 months, because the rest of them were indoors. And that too is why I'm so grateful for World Pulse, because we can all meet and talk and plan and reach out to women who are isolated and bring them in.
That's true. That's true. What's the biggest challenge you had so far?
Biggest challenge that takes me back to my frustration that after all this time, we're still politely asking for enough shelter for women coming out of violent situations, for governments to step forward and stop the violence, for boys to be taught that it's wonderful to be gentle, and that you are never to hit a woman, That's not being taught in I think it's the third generation I'm watching. Boys are still being taught that they must kind of man up as little boys. And so the biggest challenge for me at this point, and I'm thinking global sisterhood, is for us to actually be heard, but not only be heard, because we're not asking, like we need to be in leadership positions to bring our vision of what we know is possible in the world, starting with ending poverty.
That's true.
Ending poverty. And I know that that's why we're being held back, because the powers that be with the billions of dollars know that we intend that nobody will be hungry without a home, without medical care. The challenge now is for me, seeing women get into leadership so that we're able to bring what we see possible in the world forward.
Thank you for sharing that. And really, I hope that more women would step up and the people that would vote more women in office. Talking about encouragement, what's the best encouragement you received?
Well, I think that, going back to what you mentioned, that when I was given that grand prizes last year for my work, and I'll carry that for the rest of my life. I feel as if so much of what I've done over the last 53 years has been honored and recognized. It was such an amazing surprise to receive that and feel, yes, I am being heard and my work is being appreciated. And I'll carry that for the rest of my life. I feel as if I got a lifetime achievement award.
That's so sweet. Congratulations. Yeah.
Oh, there's so many amazing sisters, and I hope that all of the World Pole sisters who are working so hard know that this is just a symbol of what we're all doing, and it is amazing to feel so supported and understood, and see sisters saying that our work is recognized, that it's working, but it's also one drop in a beautiful lake, one main drop in a beautiful lake that I hope that everyone, through this new set of honorings that are happening each year with World Pulse, that it's just symbolic of what we're all doing,
Yeah.
and it's coming from each other to each other. It's just showing everyone the power of encouraging. It's the ultimate encouragement to
That's
have
true.
sisters say, "We see you, we see what," and you've said, "We see you, and what you're doing matters, and what you're doing is working."
It's beautiful, right? When women encourage one another, it just builds each other up and more impact is created in the community. You just celebrated you're in your 70s. You
My
said that,
70,
but
72nd birthday. Yeah.
we need a birth certificate to, because you look younger. What's your proudest moment so far, reaching in your 70s?
Well, that just takes me right back to a year ago, January, when I was honored by my World Pulse sisters. I don't know where I could go from there with just the joy of feeling appreciated and recognized, and encouraged myself to keep going, that something I'm doing is working.
Oh, we're still proud of you until now, by the way. Really consider you like the pillar, one of the pillars of Roll Pulse.
What I want to do now, is link all of the giant women's organizations together so that we're all working more closely with each other and step into leadership, somehow get into leadership in this world.
Yeah, that's wonderful. If you have $100,000, how will you spend it?
I would look at all my World Pulse sisters and think, okay, who needs housing? Who needs
Oh,
medical care? Who
oh,
needs who needs how many more girls can we get into school? Who needs menstrual pads? What widows have been thrown out of their homes? What single women are living on the street? I mean, I know it would be a drop in the bucket, but that's what comes to my
oh
mind.
my gosh. Your answer makes me cry. Having read the stories on World Pulse, it's
Yeah.
like $100,000 is not even enough just to support all those women. just to listen and take action to the stories that they share. Your heart is so huge, Mama Tom. How do you want to be remembered?
Hmm. I want to be. Well, it's so funny. I haven't really thought of that, but I want to be remembered that women know how much I love you all and how much I'm grateful to have a life that I'm able to work toward the end of all forms of violence against all women and girls, and with that everyone. But just that I really deeply care from my heart for what women are going through on this planet at this time, and that even if I'm not here, I'm still loving you.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's really awesome. Our interview is going to an end. It's such beautiful chat. If there is one takeaway, the number one takeaway that you could share with us, what would it be?
Join World Pulse, jump in, be part of it. We're waiting for you. We'll love you. We can make this happen.
Yes, thank you, Mama Tam. Mama Tam is also a featured storyteller, by the way. She writes beautifully. She writes poetry, she writes deep reflections, and she's also writing to governments. She's just so talented. You're such a talented woman. If you wanna read her stories, her write-ups, visit her on World Pulse. I will post her profile on the link of the description so you could read everything that she writes. Very heartfelt, full of love, passion. It's just coming from a heart that loves women, that honors women. And that's why we celebrate you, Mama Tam. Thank you so much for your time.
It's just such a pleasure. You are so wonderful, and it's just a treat for me to spend this time and to know that our conversation is going out. And I do have more stories planned because um, I'm learning a lot from a woman who's studying the history back through to 5000 BC of the lies we've been told that there were women leaders through these times, and then so those stories are going to come up.
I will put the link that you shared with me on the description box also about the stories where there were contributions of women in histories that were not published, right?
Yeah, and then I'm going to be writing a lot more about those because I'm learning. I'm studying from her. So she's about my age, and she's a World Pulse member, but she's so busy she doesn't put everything onto World Pulse, but she knows that I'll be bringing her stuff on.
Oh,
So
wow. Oh, yeah. If you're excited about that, follow Mama Tom on World Pulse and I will put the link below. Okay, so thank you so much for your time, Mama Tom. I learned a lot from you and inspired from your life. Thank you so much for
thank
everything
you
that
so
you
much for the invitation. It's always a pleasure.